Hey Stampers, it's Judy Klock here at Stampin' with Crafty Klock. I am back today. We have power. There's no storms raging so far, so I think we're good to go. Today I'm coming to you with one of our celebration items, actually two of our celebration items. The Counting Sheep stamp set and the matching sheep dies. You can get each one of these with a $50 purchase right now during celebration. So if you spend $100, you can actually get both the stamp set and the dies. These are so fun. I knew as soon as I saw them, I had to get them. In last celebration back in January, we had the Darling Donkeys, which were just so adorable. And now we've got these really cute counting sheep. So let me show you what we're going to be working on tonight. Our first one is going to be a simple stamping card. We're just going to use stamps, inks, and paper, and I did add our little corner punch, but that's optional. You can leave it square. I just wanted to give it a little bit more interest, so I kind of rounded off those opposite corners. So again, very simple. And then we're going to get a little bit more involved, and we're going to introduce our Give It a Whirl dies. Now, these dies are in our regular catalog, our annual catalog. And you can make it so that this can turn around. You've got three different things. We have balloons on one. We've got a sentiment on another. We've got a sheep on another. Okay, and that's, how fun is that? So Give It a Whirl dies. So let me show you what this consists of. So there's a lot of pieces. How many are in here? There are 21 pieces in the Give It a Whirl dies stamp set, but the main pieces that I worked with tonight were obviously the round, what I'm going to call the round dial, the little triangular window, and of course the main piece, the main cover piece. Now this will work with like a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of paper. You can just lay this on there and cut it out. You lay this over it and that will cut out that little window that you see here. Right there, and then of course you cut this out of whatever you want to put behind there to make it turn. I just used our basic white. So those are the Give It a Whirl dies. Check them out. I think you'll like them. And of course there's all other kinds of stuff. There's clouds and there's stars and there's hearts and shapes, and so there's a lot with this stamp, with this die set. Like I said, there's 21 dies in there. So here you go. Hey Patricia, how you doing? So don't forget, leave me a comment or a heart or a thumbs up or something. And for this Counting Sheep stamp set, and I know you're going to want this one once you see these. You get, there are 10 dies, so you get one for each of the sheep that you can stamp, one for the hat, and then you get a couple of extras. You get this great little like gate or fence. You get a couple of clouds again, a balloon, a little banner, and then the sun. So we're going to work with almost all of these. We cut out a whole bunch of different ones, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get started. I keep breaking up. I don't know. I have good signal and I have clear weather, so I don't know if it's on your end. I guess just keep watching and maybe it'll be better in replay. Patricia, I don't know. But I'm not getting any error messages, so I apologize. I should invest in a better microphone. That'll be my next thing. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. For our first card, our simple stamping card, we're going to use as our base a piece of basic black that is 8.5 by 4.5, scored by 4 1/4. Now we can go ahead. I didn't stamp anything on the inside on my sample, but if we want, we can stamp something here. Hey, Sheila. We can stamp something on here, or we could just leave it go. I'm just going to leave this one plain. I have a birthday I need to send one to. The gentleman is going to be 90, so I'm just going to write a little note in here and just kind of wish him a happy birthday and just kind of personalize it a little bit. So for this one, I'm just going to leave it blank. Again, sometimes when I want to write a personal note, I just leave the insides blank. All right. Then I have a piece of Poppy Parade. This is, again, 4 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to lay that down there. I just thought the Poppy Parade was a good color because I knew I was going to make it for a gentleman, so I wanted something that was a little bit more neutral. I didn't want to use a pink, or I guess I could have gone with a yellow or a green, but I just thought the Poppy Parade would pop. Okay, so now I have here my piece of basic white. So this again is 5 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to come out and I need a piece of scrap paper because some of my sheep may actually stamp off my paper. So I'm going to use a little sheep he's just kind of standing there looking at everybody. So I'm just going to use him. I'm going to use a little bit of our tuxedo black. And I'm just going to stamp him and I'm going to actually stamp this next one off. And then for the second row, I'm going to start with him off so they're not exactly centered one under the other. I just think that makes it a little bit more interesting. And then here we've got just a little bit of him coming up on that third row. All right. That is all we are going to do for that. So we're going to go ahead and put this on our card front. Again, I told you this is just a simple stamping. Stamps, ink, and paper. That's all we're using. I did use a punch on the sample. Okay. Now, I have some more layers here. At least I think I have some more layers here. Where did they go? They're still in my little cup. Okay. So I have the basic white is 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. Then we've got 1 1/2 by 2 1/2 and 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. So I'm going to stamp here, so glad it's your birthday. And again, I'm going to do this in our tuxedo black. What is the purpose of the hole in the middle of the stamp? I have no idea, Patricia. I really don't. It did come with a piece of red rubber in there. But it came out. The only thing I can think of is that sometimes if that piece of rubber was in there, ink would get on it. So when you went to stamp, sometimes like here where that hole is, the ink, because it's on that middle piece, would get in the middle of your stamped image. So the only thing I can think of is that they put that hole there so that you didn't have that solid surface that could possibly mar up your stamped image. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what I think. I guess if we could always, ask Stampin' Up, but I'm pretty sure that's the reason, because I remember on the, I think it was the Party Pandas, that stamp, they did not have the hole in it. The panda was like a solid piece. And every time I stamped it where his like little belly was, that should have been white, I always ended up getting some black on it. And it just never gave me a nice clean stamp. So I think they do that when there's a large piece of the image that's supposed to be white. They put that hole there so that it does actually stay white. Right? It does sound good. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to take this little tiny party hat, and we are going to go ahead and stamp that in some Poppy Parade. We're going to pull in that Poppy Parade. I'm just going to kind of stamp it on an angle right above the "So Glad It's Your Birthday." All right, and then I'm going to pull in our corner punch. Now, if I wanted to just really keep it simple stamping, I would just layer these all up like that. Okay, but I like to add interest, so I'm just going to stamp, like punch out around the corner on opposite sides. I like that look. I just think it adds a little something to the card. I could be wrong, but it's my card, so I get to do what I want. Just like when you make it, you get to do what you want. All right, now I'm just going to layer these up. Again, this is so easy. Again, I love doing simple stamping. Sometimes it's a challenge to really kind of keep it simple and not go absolutely crazy. But we're going to rise to the occasion today and just keep this pretty simple. And again, you know, if you wanted, you could add some Wink of Stella to the sheep. You could add some gems. You could really do whatever you wanted. And I do want to show you, I bought some of that linen paper. I don't know if you've seen that linen paper yet. Excuse me. Allergies are kicking up. But I bought some. I played with it tonight, and I wanted to kind of show you what I did. All right. So there we go. There's our first card. Now, remember I said I bought the linen paper? So this is the linen paper. It's actually got adhesive on the back of it. So I stamped our sheep, the same sheep that we had on our card front. That's not the one. Where'd he go? Hang on. There he is. So I stamped him on the linen paper with the tuxedo black ink. And this is what he looks like. So I'm going to do something here. I'm just going to, even though it's not going to keep it simple stamping, but you get the idea. I wanted to try this. So I'm going to take off the backing. And we're going to make one sheep stand out. So there we go. We've got him off, and I'm going to actually lay him over one of the stamped images. Now, I don't know if you could tell. I don't really know if that adds anything, but I just wanted to show you how that linen paper works. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But I wanted to try it, so I did. So if you try it, let me know what your thoughts are. So that was it, our first card done. So this is it with the little sheep that we did in the linen paper, and this is my sample without the linen paper. So I don't know, give me your thoughts. Let me know which one you like better. And we're going to move on to our second card with our fun little Give It a Whirl. Okay, so my card base, and I did all my die cutting already because I didn't want to have to mess with that right now. So our card base is Pool Party. It is, again, 8.5 by 4.5, scored at 5 1/4. I had another piece of Pool Party that it was like 4 by 5 1/4. And I took our Give It a Whirl dies. Let me show you. I took our Give It a Whirl dies, and I placed this one down on the Pool Party. And then I placed that little triangular piece, which is now astray. I placed that little triangular piece right over it. Now, I have the old magnetic plate, and I used it because I wanted to make sure these weren't going to slip and slide as I was rolling them through. But you roll it through, and then when you're done, you get this. So you have this piece that you can still use. It's cut out, so, you know, save it. You might want to find a use for it somewhere down the road. And then I took another piece of our basic white, okay, and I cut out, again, just this. Now, can you see how it's sort of also embossed those little triangles or those little 3 different separate things, so you know where you can stamp your images or put your designs. So let's go with that. And then from the sheep set, I punched out the fence. And can you see how it added, I can't really tell if you can see this, how it sort of added the wood grain look. Okay, so let me know if you could sort of see that wood grain look on it. I punched out a star or a sun, and I punched out a couple of balloons, but I put our adhesive sheet on the back of them just to make them easier to stick down, because that we're not going to use all of the string, but we are going to use some of it, and that would be hard to glue. So I figured the adhesive back sheets would be perfect for that. And this one I'm just going to put up on a dimensional. So we're good. All right, so without further ado, let's go work on this one. Let me just put these Give It a Whirl dies away. But this is my first time working with the Give It a Whirl, and it was a lot of fun, so I can't wait to make some more cards. I'm doing the party puffins for my September class, and I think one of our cards is going to be a whirly card. Okay, so I have here my inside, and I believe I stamped the happy birthday. So glad it's your birthday on the inside. Let me, okay, sorry, I forgot to clean off my little hat. Okay, so I'm going to just stamp this in our basic black. And you'll notice I'm not using my Stampin' Pierce mat because these are red rubber cling stamps. Okay, so glad it's your birthday. And then I added some party hats. I think I just added a row of party hats. I stamped them in the pool party to match our card base. And I just kind of stamped them. I think I might have done it in the top on the other one. Okay. Oh, I hear Jim yelling at the dogs upstairs. Somebody's being naughty. All right, let's go ahead and put that in. Okay, so there we have that. Now, let's work on our whirly mechanism. So in one of them, I just simply stamped You're Amazing. So let me get out that stamp, and we'll stamp that in our tuxedo black. All right. Okay. So I just kind of did that. You're Amazing. All right. Then I took the sheep who's see how he's kind of like, I guess, jumping over the moon. So we're going to take him. But now I didn't want to have him stamp on the other parts. So thank goodness for our trusty rusty Post-it notes. I'm going to put a Post-it note on each side of that little triangular piece where I want to post him, and I'm just kind of following along with those embossed lines. And then I can go ahead and stamp him, and he won't like go over to the other side, so to speak. Okay. All right, well, I kind of messed him up, but you get the idea. So now when I take him off, he's just going to be in his little area. Okay, then I took and I put up, I'm done with stamping, so let me close up that ink. Okay, I put our balloons up. So let me start off with one of these blue ones, and I'm going to cut off some of these strings because I don't want all of them on there. And these were just little scraps of the Playful Penguins DSP, so I want that one to be low, so I'm just gonna kind of cut that off right before that little, oh no, my finger, see, this is what happens when your fingers are dirty. Well, I'll have to make another one, but for tonight, we're just gonna go with this, and I can make another white whirly one tomorrow. All right, let's go with our next balloon. These balloons are so fun. Anyway, so I had these, again, like I said, little tiny scraps of this paper. I'm like, oh, I think the balloon will fit right there perfectly. And sure enough, it did. I just cut this down to size. There we go. Again, I'm gonna just trim off some of that. We don't need all of it. Okay, and then our last balloon. But see how easy it is to get them to stick when you have that adhesive backing on there. Granted, it doesn't always come off easy, but okay. And there we go. Okay, so we've got our balloons. Again, I'm going to kind of trim up that. Okay, now we have our messed up mechanism because I didn't realize I had ink on my fingers. Now these are some old brads that I had. I don't have the new ones, but these will work fine. I think that's like a Bermuda Bay color. It works. I could have done yellow to kind of match the sun. So I'm just going to put the brad in that little hole. I'm going to put my mechanism in there. And then I'm just going to, you know, spread my brad out. So now we've got our mechanism that looks terrible, but it turns. See that? And And I can go back and add Wink of Stella, and I probably should have pushed him up higher. There's our balloons. Again, could have put those up higher. Sometimes the glare from the lighting, it's hard for me to see. But let's go ahead. Let's end this torture and finish this up. So I have here our little gate. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on. I'm going to use a little bit of our liquid glue for this. Okay. All right. So what's everybody got going on for the weekend? Anything good? I have laundry to do tomorrow, food shopping, but then I'm having some friends come over for dinner on Sunday, so that'll be nice to see them. We haven't seen them, oh my gosh, I think since before the pandemic. So yeah, it's be good to get together. All right, I'm going to add my little sun. And like I said, I'm just going to pop him up on a dimensional. And this was one of the die cuts from the Counting Sheep. Just put that right there. Then I cut out one of the sheep. I stamped this guy. He's kind of just like standing up, hanging out. So let's go ahead and stamp him. So I lied. We do have one more stamping to do. Okay, not my night. I just dropped the ink side down on my work surface. So yay me. This is, you know, every time, literally every time I end up doing it on Friday, it's always a disaster. Always. All right, so we're going to stamp him. We're going to cut him out. And then we're going to get our little sheep that looks like that. So I'm going to add him. And as you can see, I stamped him earlier and he didn't come out good, so I had to redo him. I'm just going to kind of put him by the fence. Then I took our Crystal Effects, and I'm not going to actually attach this to my card front. I would use Stampin' Dimensionals because I want to change out this piece, but I would stamp them up with dimensionals, and I think I would use like stack 2 dimensionals together, because for this one I stacked one. I just did 1 dimensional, and it's a little hard to turn this, so I'm going to try it with 2. I'll let you know how that works out. But I took our Crystal Effects. Well, first I colored him. I colored in his face. I used, this is Light Crumb Cake Stampin' Blends. I'm going to just color his face and his legs. I guess those are his arms. I guess they're all legs. I don't know. Okay, so we colored that. And then I took our Crystal Effects. Now this will take a bit of time to dry. I would almost let it dry overnight. This has been drying for about 2 hours and it's still a little tacky. So I would just let this dry overnight. But do you see how I just kind of like the way it adds a little sparkle and it kind of gives him that little bit of puffiness. So I just took our Crystal Effects and I really just started just really coloring with it. You know, doing squiggles to kind of make it look like it's like, you know, sheep's wool. That's really all I did. And this is really how we're just going to kind of finish up this card, with the exception of, I got to swap out that middle mechanism because I just screwed up so badly. But that's really it. So that's all I did for him. And I just, like I said, I just kind of swirled it around in there. Now I'm just going to kind of set that aside and we're going to let that dry overnight. But I mean, those are our 2 cards. So I hope you liked them. I hope you'll think about getting this stamp set and this die set. It's called Counting Sheep. It is free. The stamp set is free with the $50 purchase. And the dies are also free with the $50 purchase. So you would need to spend $100 to get both of them. But I hope you enjoyed this. So everybody have a great weekend. I'll see you next week on Thursday at Stampin' with Crafty Klock. Bye.